Good evening and welcome to SPORLITIKS, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight is Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker, and my cousin Todd, straight from, I don't know, Colorado. Because he gets awful cold.
It's probably cold where you are. I'm cold where I am, and I'm further south than you are.
So tonight, the U.S. government will shut down this Friday, September 29th, unless Congress makes a deal. What does that mean for everyday people like you and me? We'll talk about that. NASCAR with Stephen as he talks about what's going on with Bubba Wallace and his team. The Republican presidential debate is tonight at 9 p.m. And guess what? We will be off in time for you to watch it. Allegedly, I'm not sure about this, but it may be true. Colin Kaepernick sent a letter to the New York Jets offering to join while Aaron Rodgers is away. He's willing to fill in. And Aaron Rodgers, in the meantime, says that the New York Jets need to grow up. President Biden is the first president to join workers on the picket line in Michigan. In Colorado, college football, Deion Sanders was a quick winner among Black fans. So whether Black fans like or know anything about college football, they're watching Deion Sanders' Colorado football team. President Trump talks to non-union workers in Detroit after President Biden did, and the Major League Baseball season is coming to a close. Where does your team stand? A judge dismisses all charges against a Philadelphia police officer who fatally shot Eddie Israeli. Why are the Washington Commanders' $6 billion bidding war one that Josh Harris had to win? Megan Rapinoe, an icon bigger than soccer, takes a bow for the U.S. national team as she's on her way out. A New York judge finds Donald Trump and his adult sons liable for fraud and decertifies his companies. News suggests that the Blazers have traded Damian Lillard to the Bucks in a 3-team deal. That and more, if we can fit it in. First up, Stephen, with NASCAR.
Well, we did have a winner this past week at a race. It was Texas. It was a pretty good race. It's a good track. It was good for the Xfinity cars as well and the trucks. It's a really nice track. But the big news is Bubba's still in the race. Bubba still has a chance to win it all, which is pretty amazing from where he was a year ago, a couple years ago, 3 years ago, that he's up in the upper echelon right now. And he's getting ready to go to a track next week, which is a track I love. So many people love. It's a huge track, 2.5-mile track, Talladega. And it's a track he's really, really does well at. And that in Daytona. So things are kind of stacking up for him. He's not too far behind. I can't remember exactly where he is, but he's in top 10. No, top 8, top 6, whatever it is. He's pretty much up there. So that's pretty good. If that happens, that's never happened before. And Bubba can sometimes he gets upset about things. He should just be cool right now and just go with the flow and put all his energy in trying to win this, because that would be absolutely tremendous. A new team, and you have Michael Jordan and everything that they put into it, and Denny Hamlin. It would be great for the sport, and it would be ramp up the competition for everybody else and all the new people that are coming in and everything else that goes along with it. This would be something that just came almost out of nowhere because he had a rough start at the beginning. So He's got a lot of competition. That's the best drivers in the world, but it is fun, and it's something else to root for. And he's something else. If you're into betting, he's someone to bet on because he can win you some money because he's been doing really well. He's been doing steady. And Talladega's a track where you can't bet on anybody, but there's some people that just have a little bit of, I don't know, I don't know what you call it. They have something special at these tracks. So you just put $1 on it. Who cares? And you could win $30 or whatever. So,
all right, that's nice.
Talladega this weekend. Enjoy Talladega.
And who's do you have any favorites for Talladega, Stephen?
Oh yeah, you just heard it would be Bubba would be a favorite. And anybody, there's probably going to be about 39 or 40 people, huh?
Kyle Larson.
Oh, of course, yeah. Any of these great drivers can win this race. Anybody, almost, I would say 30 of the drivers that's going to be in this race out of 39 or 40, 30 of them could win. It happens. These races, this is where you have huge accidents. You have big problems throughout the day. And the people who are good at these tracks, like Bubba happens to be one of them. Kyle Larson's one of them. Denny Hamlin. There's people that are really good at these tracks. And that's been going on for decades, that they can be good at tracks like this because they can avoid the issues. They can see things happening right before they happen. A lot of times you have to be really astute because you're going like 200 miles an hour. You got to be really fast, really focused. And the people that do that well at these super speedways, and they're consistent with it, they're the people you want to go with. They're the people you want to put your check mark with if you want to bet $1 on them. So I'm gonna put $1 on Bubba this week.
All right, that's cool. Put $1 on Bubba Top.
And $1 can be anything you want. Anything you want. $1 is to you is what $1 is to you. So it could be 1,000. It could be a $10. It could be $1.
All right. Let's go on to the NBA. We got Nas on. Nas, welcome to Sporlitiks, where sports and politics mix and mingle. Let's talk a little about the NBA and Damian Lillard.
Yeah. So first of all, the name is Joe Quaventarius. So first things first, the Dame trade, biggest NBA news in a long time. All summer, we heard about Dame Lillard going to the Miami Heat. He requested a trade there, basically demanded a trade, and the Miami Heat were thought to be the only real offer on the table. And the rumor mill was Miami would not increase their offer because they felt like there were no other suitors in play, and the deal was just going to eventually get done when Portland couldn't find a better deal. Well, it turns out Portland found a better deal. And now Dame is going to Milwaukee with Giannis in a 3-team deal, which completely changes the NBA. It opens up Giannis's window to win more championships and also to keep him in Milwaukee. So Milwaukee is now solidified. Portland continues their rebuilding project by bringing in the #2 overall pick to replace Damian Lillard. And the Miami Heat are just kind of sitting there without a dance partner. The great Pat Riley failed for the first time in a long time to get a deal that everybody expected to be done. And we have an international kind of conversation now for the year because you got the possibility of Joker with the Denver Nuggets and Giannis from the Milwaukee Bucks playing in the finals, and we would have a final with 2 international superstars, something that's never happened in the NBA. So this Dame story is pretty big. Like, he's not a household name, but he's close to it. For those who know about Dame time, kind of showing your wrist in the fourth quarter. That's kind of what he's gotten famous for. But that's kind of where the story ends. Ultimately, we're always told about player empowerment and how the players run the NBA, when in actuality, the front offices run the NBA. Dame demanded to be traded to a certain place, and it didn't happen. So he has to settle for Milwaukee, and we'll see what he thinks within the coming weeks. Sorry, Jimmy Butler.
So for people like me, not me, I'm sorry. For people like Todd, can you make that kind of plain? What does that mean? I heard what you said. He's going to trade. He's been traded, and I guess that's going to make Miami not the great team it is. You didn't say anything about the LA Lakers and where the LA Lakers fall in all this. I know they haven't been doing that good. You didn't say anything about the Warriors, or, you just talked about Miami with this trade, but what does it mean for those other teams? And make it plain for people like Cousin Todd.
Yeah, I didn't bring up
Please.
I didn't bring up the Lakers because Denver was the team that actually swept the Lakers last year. LeBron still has to have some type of ankle surgery. He's also 39 years old. Like, there's certain, you hope he gets there, but maybe not. Steph, they brought in Chris Paul to help Steph. Chris Paul is older than Bron. So I don't know how much that's going to help Steph. So the Golden State Warriors, I don't know how much of this story they are. But no, the Miami Heat are the biggest story of this because that was where Dame requested to go. He demanded to be sent to Miami, and Miami made the mistake of basically trying to shortchange Portland by saying, this is the offer, take it or leave it. You don't have a better one. And Portland found a better one. So that's why the Pat Riley angle and the Miami angle kind of matters so much in this story.
Okay, Steven, and then Aguna on that.
Well, as long as everybody's happy, I'm happy. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, and he did what he had to do, and it was a huge story, and everybody's freaking out. And I hope the best for Milwaukee. If they do well, I'll jump on Milwaukee. I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they're gonna have a great super team. Why not? Am I rooting for LA? No. Am I rooting for a bunch of other teams? No. I'm jumping around because I have a Washington team. I have no team. I'll jump on whoever puts the most money in my pocket. So if that's a great team, I'll take that great team, and I'll ride them all year.
You just ride anybody.
Yeah, I would just say that the process and for the Sixers is officially over. I mean, trades like this, you would like to see, the Sixers jump in on this a little bit. I know he didn't want to come here, but I mean, I think Nas explained it well. It's interesting that I didn't know the backstory about him wanting to go to Miami yet. I just heard the breaking news. So, but Milwaukee's going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem. It's an NBA marketing dream, but yeah, it's going to be tough to match up against them, this year. So I'm not looking forward to it.
But they're going to have to meld. This might take a little while for them to get together. Just because you got a bunch of guys that are great doesn't mean they can work together well.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis just needed that one extra piece. They were already a pretty stout team, so
yeah, it should work. But I'm saying maybe it just won't. The stars won't line up just right because you have a new person, new vibes, new everything changes everything. It just even if it's a little bit, it might change it to where they don't work well together. So we don't know. We have to wait and see.
So last week, I'm going to go into college football. Last week, Nas Aguna. Are you listening?
What? He hears you. What do you want?
I'm listening.
Good Lord.
Nas asked for Todd and Keith to give their opinion on college football.
I don't even know why he did that to the show. This is like, really?
Gosh.
might as well ask a rock. No,
Can you believe that, Steven?
In my defense, they did hear about the story.
So let's talk about what they were talking about. And what they were talking about last week was Deion Sanders and Colorado. Nas did mention that, and Aguna did previously, that Colorado would be hard for them to beat these ranked teams. You want to talk about it, Aguna?
Yeah, I mean, now make no mistake, Oregon came into that game with a purpose and a mission based on a lot of the hype around Colorado over the last couple of weeks. So, they weren't like a TCU or Colorado State, which Colorado State wasn't a very strong team. I mean, it was a rivalry game. It was good for football, but and Nebraska. So you see the three teams that Colorado beat. Again, remember, Colorado was like a 1-11 team last year.
Yeah.
But Oregon being a ranked team, that coach came into a program that was already loaded. I mean, they have a lot of analytics going on with Nike. And so Oregon isn't the type of program that is going to lie down for Colorado. And I think they used that platform or the stage to kind of elevate their program some more. But as I said, I mean, you got another one. USC Trojans are coming up. These teams, they don't want to be embarrassed. And I think, with all the marketing and all of the hype around, Deion Sanders being in Colorado and their kind of Cinderella story around 3-0, I mean, yeah, they weren't trying to get embarrassed, and they were trying to make a point. You saw how the coach, he was trying to talk trash and all that other stuff. But again, it plays out in the sports media world as a great story because you got Prime, you got Oregon. I mean, I think it was just a matter of time before these season programs were going to, the reality check was due to come. But that doesn't take anything away from Deion Sanders. And I think, again, this is his first year. So, I mean, and he said it in his press conference. He was like, you better get me now because, a couple of years from now, it's not going to be this way. So we'll see what it plays out. But again, I think from a marketing perspective, it's playing out the way all the media and marketing and schools wanted to play out. A lot of hype, a lot of money being spent, a lot of sunglasses getting sold, a lot of likes and clicks on social media. That's all you want right now.
So, Stephen, they don't, the Oregon Duck head coach said, we don't play football for clicks on the computer.
Oh, yeah, everybody's trying to say something. Everybody's trying to get into the spotlight because that's what Deion brings. But I'm a huge Deion fan. Win, lose, or draw, I don't care. I think he's a great guy. I've loved him for decades. I don't care what team he plays on. He's a great guy. And then you find out more about him lately, and he's just a really down-to-earth guy you can sit down and talk to. He seems like a really good person. So I pulled for them all the way. They're not going to win everything. Like Guna said, they were 1-11 last year. They've won some games that people didn't think they could win. And
right.
This game here they played, it was no joke. It was a real team, and they're not there yet, but they can get there. And they have almost like I don't want to be like disrespectful. It's almost like a ragtag team of people he just grabbed here, grabbed there. It's like, I'm taking you with me. And it's trying to make something of it. And that's just, it's it's almost like a movie, like the Bad News Bears or something like that. They're so scrappy. And I don't know anybody that doesn't like Deion. I don't know anybody that doesn't like this team. I haven't run past anybody that said, well, I just don't like this Deion character and what he's trying to do there with these kids, trying to help them out.
Right. So, Juan Vitorius, whatever you put your name up there to be.
The third. Yeah. So we all knew this would happen. We talked about it on the show. I don't think that it was embarrassing, but it was expected. And this week is probably going to be worse. USC might actually beat them by more points. But again, like Aguna said, when you're building a program, you don't have the horses. And ultimately, until Deion can recruit the big O linemen and big D linemen, this is what it's going to look like when you go up against a team that's fully loaded. So the way that Shedeur Sanders was hit and they really couldn't protect him, you're going to see more of that Saturday. Now, the sad part about all this, and shout out to Deion, because he's going to get it right by next year or the year after. He'll get all the recruits he wants. When he shows up to your house, he's going to charm the wife and regale the husband with stories of the Dallas Cowboys and 49er days. He's going to get the recruit.
And Redskins.
But the decision-making is something that's going to have to improve. Lil Wayne performing down for my N-words at a game is probably not a good look for major college football. The broadcast actually had to cut away from the performance because of some of the things being said, and also the crowd, which is probably not the most diverse crowd in the world, because understand we're still talking about Colorado. There's some parts of this that Deion's going to have to clean up.
Not Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, it's cool that you got this opportunity, but how are you representing with this opportunity? That's going to be something that he's going to have to kind of deal with going forward. But
so you're saying he's a little too black. He's too black for that white area.
I'm saying in a zip code like that performance with that crowd, probably not the best optics or idea. And then on top of that, look, shout out to Prime, good Christian guy, solid guy, but there's going to be some things that come out in a few weeks that are not going to be so good. And I don't mean anything nefarious that Deion has done. It's because the same way the Oregon's coach talked about him, that's how all the major college coaches are going to go after Colorado. They're going to try to find any violation they can to try to hurt his recruiting and hurt everything else. Not because they're at bottom races. It's because the threat of a all-star celebrity to the level of Deion coming into the coaching ranks, that means less jobs for them. So
yeah, it sounds like what they're
they're
doing to
fighting
Trump.
against the idea of Deion.
You said, Stephen, that's exactly what they're doing to Trump.
Yeah, the same thing. Because he's so hard that he can take all of them down. He can take all of them down the way Trump can take all of his people down. They got to put him in jail. They got to do something to him so he can't run for president.
We don't know what
because he's going to take every one of them down. And that's what Deion's going to do with the strength of God hand in hand with him. He's going to take every other college team down and win it all. And they got to stop him. They got to put him. They can't let him get the recruits. They can't let him get to be on the ballot. They can't let him be on the ballot in different states.
Okay.
They got to shut him down. They got to shut him down.
You've got to get Keith in here because I want Keith to explain what Stephen is talking about. Quickly, Stephen. Keith.
No, Keith.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it. I can't.
Stephen said it clearly.
What is he talking about? Explain
it.
Don't
need to talk about it. Stephen said it clearly.
Yeah, when you introduce your politics into a college football discussion, you may need to, up the meds a bit.
So let's go on with college football. Aguna or Nas or Stephen, anything else with any other teams throughout the NCAA Division I?
Well, what a heck of a game, Notre Dame. That Notre Dame Ohio State game was a heck of a game. That was a really good game. Came down to the ends. A lot of folks had Notre Dame possibly beating them, but again, it came down to the last play. So that was good. That was pretty cool. I mean, it's interesting to see how college is going to shake out. I still think Georgia is going to be the team to beat, but we'll see. SEC is always tough.
Yeah. Just to piggyback on that last play that Aguna just brought up, Notre Dame had 10 players on the field. Now, this is the second time this has happened to them this season, where defensively they just forgot to get another guy on the field. So I have no idea what's going on in Notre Dame with their coaching staff and everything else, but somebody's going to get fired.
It's a new coach, right? Is it a new coach?
Freeman, I think he's second or third year.
It's the second or third year, yeah. So that's crazy. I didn't even know that. That's messed up.
That is bad.
All right, let's move on to
Notre Dame.
Don't worry about it. You don't know anything about any team.
I do so, and I thought Notre Dame was going to lose to the Steelers, but they didn't. The only thing is, I think if Notre Dame keeps playing the way they do, they'll take it all the way to the World Series. America first.
America first. God bless you.
I mean, it's Todd in Vail, Colorado, skiing something, and it's not even like ski season, Aguna.
I don't know. Todd, he must be pretty cold because he got his beard, he's got a scully, he's got a hoodie on, and a blazer. Only Todd could pull that off.
Yeah, he's pretty thin, man. He's pretty thin.
I thought he had a neck warmer. I thought he had a neck warmer. That's his beard. I thought he had a neck warmer. That's his beard.
He needs a scarf. All you need is a scarf.
An ascot. Better yet, an ascot.
Yeah, you want no ascot.
Can you get off of me? Get off of me. Get off of me. Get
Fred
off
off
of
the
me.
Scooby-Doo.
Oh
Fred off the Scooby-Doo.
All right, let's move on to NFL. Aguna.
Let's do it. So one of only two undefeated teams in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles, took care of Baker Mayfield Monday night. Yeah, the Eagles are, they're scrapping out wins. They're beating the teams they're supposed to, and they haven't even played their best football yet. So really good game, really solid game. The local talent, Swift, is really, pounding the running game. They're really positioned well. And guess who they're playing this upcoming weekend? They are playing the Washington Commanders.
Oh,
yeah, so looking forward to that game. I know Washington had a terrible time this weekend, but like I said, I think now's the time that the Eagles need to stack some wins up because the schedule only gets harder, especially on the back end. I mean, they got to play Miami. You saw where Miami put up 70 against Denver, like they were trying to, qualify for a bowl game. But I mean, I'm glad NFL is back. The Cowboys, of course, lost. The Commanders lost, and the Giants all lost. So Philadelphia Eagles are sole on top of the NFC East.
Right now,
it should be. No.
Don't sleep on the Redskins. Don't sleep on the Redskins, Aguna.
Yeah, I mean, if they can't only kick a field goal against the Bills, I'm not really scared or shivering in my boots.
I'm gonna tell you why you should be scared. I'm gonna tell you why you should be upset. I'm gonna tell you why you should be upset. And yes, it's Sam Howell. Yes, sir. It's Sam Howell. You should be upset right now because your team.
Wasn't his grandfather on Gilligan's Island?
No, that was Mr. Howell. His granddad was a billionaire.
I remember who this guy is.
That's the only reason he plays football is because of that. No, he's got this is why you should feel bad for your Eagles. Because if you're a boxer and you hit somebody really hard and you think you knock them out, but you do more than that, their soul disappears out of the ring. This is what's going to happen to Sam Howell. You got your team, the Philadelphia Eagles, are going to put Sam Howell out of football. We don't have the offensive line to stop the defensive line of the Eagles. Sam Howell may get hurt to the point where he's out for a while, or he might be out. He's been hit more than any other quarterback, been sacked more than anybody. He's on pace to get sacked for 140 times, and the most that ever has happened in the NFL was 72. We don't have an offensive line. We got Bieniemy who doesn't understand that that's not Patrick Mahomes, but he thinks Sam Howell is Patrick Mahomes. He's not. He came from Kansas City. He's going to get this boy killed. There's something's not what he's doing is not right. They're calling plays.
So what do you expect the game to be? So what do you think is going to happen in the game, right? Because they're playing in Philly now.
Make it quick.
Right, you're playing in Philly. He's not going to hear. He doesn't have the experience for this. Plus, he's not good enough yet, and he doesn't. And he can do a lot for somebody that is as inexperienced as him. He's got so many great qualities, but he can't overcome what he's about to run into. He doesn't have metal skin for the buzzsaw he's about to hit. He's had an offensive line
and don't forget the Commanders embarrassed the Eagles last year when they were clearly favorites and they just didn't show up. So I don't think the crowd will tolerate another type of performance. But to your point, stranger things have happened. If this was in Washington, I may have been like, you know what, hey, they may be able to pull off an upset, but I think the Eagles are going in there focused a little bit, and they haven't played their best ball yet. And they got a lot of young guys trying to prove themselves, especially on the D line. So it should be interesting.
I think it's gonna be really. I'm serious. I don't know if he'll get hurt, but he'll be. You look what happened to him during Buffalo. Look at the hits he took, and the hits he took in the two previous games. He is getting beat down. There's quarterbacks that get beat down like that lose it early in their career, like by the fifth game, because you can't take that many hits as a human being.
There's no such thing as
PPE. All right. Okay. Excuse me. We have to move on. I want to talk. Do you want to talk about how did you talk about how Josh Harris won that bidding war, Stephen, for $6 billion to get the Commanders, and why he did that?
Oh man.
You want me to talk?
No, absolutely not.
Ask Stephen.
So he had enough money to buy the Commanders. All right, he had enough money to buy the Commanders with other people putting money in as well.
Yeah, Magic Johnson put in $50 in a Popeyes coupon.
Hey, it's anything that helps. You know what I mean?
So Nas, you want to talk? Did you want to talk anything else about your team, Stephen, before I go to Nas?
I'm really worried about them this weekend. I think the Eagles are going to destroy them, and the spread can't get big enough. I think it started at 7, went to 8, went to 8.5. It can't get big enough. It could be 10.5. It could be 11, 12. I just think it's not going to be good for the soon to be renamed Washington Redskins. It's not going to be good for them this week. I think the Eagles have a lot, and they're going to show something this week that they haven't shown yet.
Okay, Keith, you were talking to me on the phone about the Washington Redskin name. What was it that you were saying to me about that?
Oh, well, I just simply said I hope they go back to Washington Redskins. I'm with Stephen on that one.
I wonder why.
Well, why do you think?
Because it just goes against. Take it to the libs. Let's take it to the libs. I see this as an opportunity.
Did Kansas City change their name from Chiefs?
No.
Did Kansas City?
No.
Okay, so why should Washington Redskins?
Well, it's
Why
already
shouldn't-
been.
why-
Well, it's already been done. It's already been adjudicated. The Chiefs is a place, I guess, considered a compliment, while Redskin is considered a slur. So after the tribes,
Only the people like you is it considered a slur.
hold on.
Not
It's not your
to
turn.
the Redskins
My man,
themselves. To
just-
the
just
people who are
relax.
actual Redskins
Dude,
in this
we're
world,
still doing the
they're
show,
not
man. Just
offended.
relax.
They're like,
Okay,
call me
we got it.
Redskin. Call me Redskin. I don't
Okay,
care.
Steven,
Stephen,
let him
you
finish
don't
his
speak for
point.
Native
Noted.
Americans, Stephen.
We've heard you.
But the
So-
Native
I know,
Americans
you
are the
said that
ones
before.
who are
heard
saying
you.
it, not
Stop.
me. Keith knows and Stacy
Okay.
knows.
All right.
Yep,
So
not
Native
true.
Americans.
So-
It
Next,
is
Okay.
true.
next.
God bless
So-
you. It is true.
Native
Independent
Americans.
I'm sure.
Anything else? Excuse
I'm
me.
sure they're talking
Anything else
through
before
you
I
we
didn't
move
get
to
to
make that
finish
point.
anything. Yeah, I
Okay,
didn't
No,
get to
see,
finish
it-
anything.
and
they-
Stacy
Go ahead,
knows
Nas.
this.
Let Nas finish his point.
Let Nas finish.
Yeah.
They are suing the federal government.
Hey, Nas, shut up.
You said Nas. You said Nas.
Well,
You
he
said
tried the
Nas.
opposite on you guys to see if that
Well,
would
no, it
Exactly.
worked.
So-
It worked. You didn't say anything for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, Nas.
Yeah, so what actually happened
got
in the
knocked
real
off.
world, as opposed to the fantasy world some people want to live in, well, these Native American tribes that did go against the name and didn't want the name, who brought the lawsuit to the Washington football team, what ended up happening was the sponsors sided with the complaint, and because of pressure from those sponsors, they ended up changing the name. Now, remember, Daniel Snyder never wanted to do it, said he would never do it, but that financial pressure is what made him do it. Now you bring in a new team. They spent over $6 billion, as Stacy said, buying this team, and the idea that they would go back to something that actually cost the previous regime money
Didn't cost them anything.
So, no, they're not going to that name.
Yeah.
They're going to stay with They're going to
Why?
stay with Commanders or go to Washington football team. But what I said about Magic, I was just joking. Magic was brought in on that ownership group because of his face and because of his power as an endorser. Like, he's been doing this for years. He did it with the Dodgers, helped them out, and now he's helping the Washington team out. Basically, you should be paying Magic to come in and help your team, and that's what Washington did. This is a good brain trust they got, and I like the direction of where this group is going. But again, there's no name change back to the Redskins. Matter of fact, if they really want to make some money, they go to the Washington football team, and then people have to buy all the apparel all over again.
Well, stay tuned,
Okay.
sports fans.
Okay, now
Steven, why do we not believe you? I mean, you have no inside information, inside track on what's going
Because
on.
there's so many Indian tribes that have gotten together and they got petitions and they got millions of signatures.
Name
and
one.
They're suing the federal government right now. They're suing the federal government.
Name one.
Name one tribe.
Yeah.
There's not just one. There's not just one tribe.
Then
there's
two.
Google it. Google it. How
You
many
the one that
fingers
made
do
up the
you
point.
have that you can Google? How many fingers do you have that you can
Don't
Google?
deflect.
I don't
Answer
have
the
to.
question.
I don't have
You
to
don't
name
know.
a tribe. I
You
don't have to
don't
name
know.
a tribe.
Because you made it up.
I didn't make it up.
Here's a fact check.
Hey,
He brought it up.
Stacey,
I
wait a
asked him
minute.
to name
No,
one. He
it's
couldn't name
100%.
one,
Keith,
so he made it up.
Keith, wait a minute. Keith, did I make it up or did you post stuff? Because I saw stuff before you posted it. Is it absolutely true? Keith, is it absolutely true or am I lying?
Why are you asking him? I asked you, name one tribe.
Because I don't have to name a tribe.
You don't know.
I don't know. I'm not going to. I don't know. I don't know a tribe. I don't know.
This is fake news. This is
Stacey,
fake
I
news.
already sent that to you a long time ago. I posted it.
Okay, all right.
So
I
it's
gotta
there.
move on.
Sure, the name one tribe.
I don't know a
I
tribe.
gotta move
I don't.
on.
I don't keep
Whatever
up.
tribe. Look it up.
I would
Hey,
suggest
Acuna,
people open
Acuna,
links sent by Keith.
bet me
Might have a
$1,000
viral.
I'm lying. Bet me $1,000 I'm lying.
That's not how this
Bet
works.
me $1,000 I don't know what I'm talking about.
You made a comment.
Hey,
You're
Acuna,
deflecting now.
Acuna, don't be a punk. Don't be a
asked you to
punk.
name one.
Bet me
and you couldn't do it.
$1,000,
Now you're
Acuna.
deflecting.
Acuna, if
I
I'm not
asked you to name one tribe. I
Okay,
asked you to name one.
stop it.
Look at Keith.
Stop.
if I'm a
Stop.
liar,
Stop.
bet me
Stop.
$1,000.
Stop. I gotta
Name
move
one
on.
tribe.
Bet me
I just asked you to
$1,000.
name one tribe. You're doing all this.
Can we respect the host so we can move
The
on?
monkey.
Okay, let's move
The
on. Let's move
monkey.
on. I'm moving on. I'm done.
Pamunkey. The
Steven,
Pamunkey tribe. The Pamunkey tribe.
Okay, stop.
Okay. All right. You've already made a fool of yourself enough. Let's move on.
Yeah, but you don't get to decide that. I do.
No,
Oh, go ahead.
Cherokee.
I guess you want to
Cherokee.
continue to.
It doesn't
You want to
matter the
continue
tribe.
to
Everything I said the truth. The only fool is you, Aguna. The only
Don't get
fool is
angry, get
you.
educated.
Keep
Don't get angry
laughing.
at me,
Keep
get
laughing.
educated.
Excuse me.
You're
One
just.
Colin
tribe.
You're just.
Kaepernick.
Are you trying to
One
be
tribe.
stupid? Are you trying to be stupid?
One tribe.
Aguna.
Yeah,
I
let's move
said
on.
Let it go. You embarrass yourself, Stephen.
Cherokee. I
Moving
said
on.
Cherokee. I should name a tribe. Look it up. Hey, Stacy. Keith sent it to you. Send it to Aguna right now. These different tribes that have sent 1 million signatures and they're suing the federal government right now. Send him that information, Stacy, because you have it.
Look at that.
Why
No, but
would they?
Stacy, wait a
Why
minute.
would they
Are you
sue the
gonna let
federal government?
him tell me?
Why would they sue the
Stop.
federal government and not the team? Like, this is just dumb.
Stop.
Why are we entertaining this nonsense?
No, you're gonna tell me I'm lying. You're gonna let somebody
No,
call
we're
me a
telling
liar,
you you're
Stacy?
stupid.
You're
No,
Stacy,
that's
when
what
you
we're
know
telling
the
you.
truth.
yourself.
No,
You're
you're dumb.
embarrassing
Stacy, when
yourself.
you know
You're
the
dumb.
truth.
That's what we're telling you.
When
You're
you know the
embarrassing yourself.
truth. You know the truth, Stacy. Send them the truth.
Aguna, Stephen, stop. I got to move on.
Send them the
Aaron
truth.
Rodgers,
I'm not doing anything. I just
New
said
York
name one
Jets.
tribe.
I named more than one tribe.
Aguna.
Are you deaf
Aguna.
and dumb, Aguna?
Okay.
Are you deaf
I'm
and
done.
dumb?
I've tried to move
Aguna.
on. You can't let it go.
No.
I'm
You started
moving
this
on.
and you
I'm over it.
love egging him on. You're not
I made
He's not
my
egging
point.
me on.
Aguna has been itching to get back here to egg
I
Stephen.
haven't done anything. I was trying to move on. He couldn't let it go. I'm done.
No, you told me I was lying. You told me I was full of crap.
Well, you are.
And you proved
I'm
it.
not full of crap. What I did was tell the truth. Bet me $1,000.
Bet me $1,000.
Bet me 10.
Why does this accent?
Stop. Now, New York Jets. Colin Kaepernick wrote a letter saying he wants to come back. I couldn't believe it. First, I thought somebody made that up, submitted that letter. It was fake. And now that I actually read it, and the gentleman said that he asked Mr. Kaepernick whether or not he could publish it, and Kaepernick said yes. Start with Stephen, then Keith, then Aguna, then Wakwan, or whatever his name is.
Respect my name, man.
And his pronouns.
Stephen,
Look
why?
at him. He thinks he's gonna. He's such a copycat. He's a thief and a copycat. Good Lord.
Why are we not surprised? Let's go ahead.
Kaepernick.
Oh, well. I'm like you, Stacy. I was thinking it has to be something fake, something phony. And then you know what? With everything in this world, it may be fake. It may be funny. It may be a conspiracy theory or something. I don't know.
Real.
But he has
real.
nothing for the NFL, and the NFL has nothing for him. But you know what? For the Jets' sake, if he really did have something and he could help him out, because I have Wilson, I have the receiver, and he could help this team out. I'd be his biggest fan. I'd be good with him because that was one of my high picks from one of my fantasy teams.
Let me move on.
Yeah, so if it happens, if he does what he does, but I don't think he has a chance to play.
Okay, Aguna. Kaepernick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why.
He's been working out 5 days a week, 8:30 to 5, just to stay in shape, training from 8 to 10 with the weights, and then working out every day for 6 years. Why won't they pick him up?
You got quarterbacks that are coming out of college that do the same and they're not picking up. I mean, it's hard to play in the NFL, and you've been sitting out for 6 years. It's still hard to get back in shape. Otherwise, everyone could do it. No one can do it, and then there's so much. I mean, I just think that it would be very overblown for him to come back 6 years removed and play football. But that being said, the storyline itself, of course, charges and creates emotions in both sides. So the fact that you have this out there in the ether, people are talking about it. Oh, now let's go get Kaepernick. I mean, anytime a quarterback goes down, they're going to say, go get Kaepernick.
He wrote a letter to the owner, Cousin Todd. He wrote a letter to the owner.
I mean, I can write a letter to the owner and say, hey, pick me up too. No. I mean, it's his purview, but I just don't see him coming back and contributing to the New York Jets. Knowing, because again, Zach Wilson, who's the quarterback for the Jets right now, what was he, a number 2 or 3 in the draft. What I mean, he's a first round draft pick. Why would you go get someone? Yeah, he's second in the draft. Why would you go get someone that has football 6 years?
Well, Zach is terrible.
Okay, let me ask.
Yeah, he is terrible, but I mean, Kaepernick 6 years out the league. I mean, yeah, what's the trade-off there?
Kaepernick went to the Super Bowl
6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Kaepernick got a lot of money from the NFL. If he really wants to play, he ought to give the NFL or whatever team he goes to a lot of money. He ought to give him millions of dollars so they let him play, and then he can prove whether or not he can still play.
I mean, he probably would have to give it to him. They're probably
because the NFL gave him millions of dollars.
Can we hear
the NFL gave him millions of dollars. He ought to give some of that money back if he really wants to play.
Todd, did you want to make a comment? I'm going on to Waquan.
No,
go ahead,
no,
Waquan.
no.
Yeah, so first things first, he didn't sit out of the NFL. He won a lawsuit because he was blackballed. They actually colluded to keep him out of the NFL at a position that's really, really, really desperate for talent, which was the overriding factor. So Colin Kaepernick was blackballed. As far as this letter,
I don't like that. I don't like the words blackballed.
Hey.
Please don't say blackballed again.
Hey, so Colin Kaepernick was blackballed by the NFL, who colluded to keep him out. So after blackballing Colin for all these years, it would be ridiculous to me for Colin to write this letter. I was really disappointed in Colin for writing a letter and asking for an opportunity in the NFL. And then we consider this. The person he wrote the letter to is Woody Johnson, who took on a job in the Trump administration and was a huge donor to Trump's campaign. So the idea that would be the guy to give you a job is even laughable. So yeah, I was disappointed in Colin for asking. It makes him look desperate. It makes him look like
not serious.
It makes him look like the point of proving that he still wanted to play is more important than the injustice of proving that NFL owners should not be able to collude amongst each other to stop somebody from playing over their political views. So that's the part where conservatives need to step in and say, wait a minute, we don't want to see anybody lose their job because their political views don't align with the mainstream. And that's what we saw happen to Colin Kaepernick. So I'm just really disappointed in him for asking.
But see, that's the question I had when the letter first came out. I saw that because I remember Keith had mentioned that last week, and we had said, no, Colin Kaepernick isn't coming back. We said, no, that's not happening. And then for that letter to come out, I said, is that truly a real letter? Because, I was really surprised that he would write a letter saying that. Or maybe he's doing that to make a point, like he did with his kneeling.
Yeah, but the point was already made when you won your lawsuit against $1 billion company. You win a lawsuit as an individual against $1 billion company. Guess what? Your case
then
was
my
rock
question
solid.
Would be, but we're getting ready to move on. But then my case would be, why wouldn't he go play in the XFL or play in a league overseas?
There really are no leagues overseas. We got rid of NFL Europa. They got kind of development leagues overseas where they're looking for players. But, some of these like small time pro leagues that they try to do to compete with the NFL, man, them dudes be rushing to the bank on Friday to make sure they check his cash before everybody else's checks bounce.
Yeah, he's not good enough anymore.
For money.
Yeah, but
he's not good enough
anymore. For money.
Well, you're not playing against elite competition for one, so it doesn't prove anything. And then the other part again, those leagues tend to fold. Well, you can stay in shape.
Go play in Canada. You can go play in Canada.
He's not. All right, let's move on because
yeah, again, I just think it's ridiculous that he wrote that letter. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% not. Or
I don't have time to go over the rest of the sports. I want to go on to the government shutdown and how that could happen by the end of this week and what that means to every basic American. Cousin Todd.
I don't know if the government is going to shut down or not. I'm hoping that it does not. But McCarthy can't lead with the crackpots he's trying to lead. But I'm going to say this, though. I was telling Stephen that government shutdowns are no good for the common worker who works for the government. And Stephen was saying, oh, no, it's not going to affect them. It's not going to affect anybody. Nobody's going to miss a paycheck. Nobody's checks are going to be late, and they are. And so As a matter of fact, the Republicans were saying that. McCarthy himself was saying that. And so...
okay, you got to speed it up. You can't talk all night. We're almost out of time.
So anyway, I'm hoping they can avert a shutdown, but you have these radicals that think like Keith and Stephen. It's just a reset. It's like pressing a reset button.
He
Nothing
says
happens.
something, but you're saying something about Keith and I. We never even said to you. We're like a straw horse. I never said anything contradictory of what you're saying right now. You're like, hey, Stephen thinks blah blah blah, and Keith thinks blah blah. Neither one of us ever said anything like that.
Okay.
We were like, oh, these people don't need. They're going to get paid. What are you talking about?
Oh my God.
These shows are recorded. You said it on a recorded show, sir.
And that's the bottom line. You can't remember because you're an alcoholic. But
I don't drink. But I don't drink.
Well, maybe you should start.
Maybe I should start.
That was a joke, but you said that 2 weeks ago. Keith knows it, but he doesn't want you to. Anyway, you said that 2 weeks ago that nobody's checks will be. You just can't remember. But
no. What I'm saying is, what you're saying is, wait a minute. What you're saying is that everything's going to stop. Nobody's going to get paid, and that's not true.
I didn't say that. You're making that up.
But no, basically, what we're saying is, it's not going to. It's not. We've had government shutdowns before, and it's not that bad, Todd.
Which is why
all the government shutdown is. We want them to stop spending money for a little while. We should all want our government to stop spending money because we're so in debt.
Stephen,
what are you talking about?
You got to stop and let the other people finish. Aguna, and you got to make it quick. Then
government shutdowns are never a good thing.
I didn't get a chance to even get to my point, but that's okay. How typical.
You took too
Good
long.
job, Todd.
How could I take? That was Stephen who would not shut up.
Aguna.
And
government shutdowns are bad, audience. We don't want them. No matter what some of these yahoos may say on the far right, that it's not going to impact anything. It's just not a good look, and it shows just dysfunction in Congress. I mean, at the end of the day, you need a functioning government to support our society. It's just, and now, yes, there is some question about spending and all those other things, but that you don't do that. You don't do that on the brinksmanship of government shutdown or debt ceilings. That's not how that works. You legislate during the political calendar and you make those decisions. You don't go to the edge like this and then impact, other things. Again, with the government shutting down, there's residual effects. The government drives the economy, believe it or not. So you can sit here and say, oh, well, big government is bad, but there are different parts of government that impact our day-to-day lives, and we don't want this type of disruption. So, and then there's financial markets that are at stake as well. If the government's not functioning correctly, financial markets will report accordingly.
But the left about it.
You think about it, the American dollar is pretty much the currency of the world. And to say we need to shut down the American government, what do you think is going to be the impact to the dollar, which is which pretty much right now is the global currency?
Correct.
You just don't want that type of dynamic to happen. Yeah, there's some political things at hand, but no matter what side of the aisle, if there's a certain party blaming the other one or saying the left, this, that's probably the projection that you want to key in on, because they're the ones that don't understand what's going on or trying to make gains out of it.
Well
said.
Okay,
thank you, Keith. Keith, the Senate has a stopgap bill that they can put through pretty soon that will help not shut the government down. And people aren't realizing that, even though private companies run airlines like American and Delta, if there isn't the air traffic controllers run by the federal government, that's going to shut the flights down. So wouldn't it be better for the Speaker of the House to come to some sort of agreement?
Well, according to the way things are now, we are the cash cow of the world. And I think Aguna just proved it by saying that the government shouldn't shut down because it controls the economy, the American government. So
that's not what I said. I said the dollar is the global currency.
And all over the world, audience, you need to remember that just like you would run a household, I know that these people don't think that way.
Household isn't the government.
To ideology, if your household, the average American is how much in
debt?
That
is not the same.
$43,000 a household, a family.
It's not the same.
the
Does a
rising
household
debt.
have fire
Debt is in
services?
the
Does a household have
trillions.
an army?
So, I don't think that it's a good. I think it's a good idea to shut down. We do it every Friday. Saturday and Sunday, the government is not open. Most of the federal government is
That's not
closed.
shut down. That's
So
scheduled closing.
what we could also do is say, we can say that all the
Are you
essentials
insane?
will still
It is
continue.
insane.
The
It's
essentials will
insane.
continue, like Social Security.
The
And so
government should
forth.
be
All of
just like
that will
your household.
continue. So
No.
it's not going to shut
Okay,
down
you guys
everything
have to
else.
let him finish. Okay, thank
So
you,
I'm not.
Stephen. Did
So
Stephen
I'm
make
not
a comment?
afraid.
Stephen, did you make a
No,
comment?
it's
Let me
just
finish.
the.
Yeah, he did.
I'm not
Go
afraid
ahead,
of a
Keith.
shutdown. I'm not afraid of
Yeah,
a shutdown. I'm not
right.
afraid of a shutdown. The government is
Because
too
you don't even
involved in
understand what it is.
Being
economy.
afraid and
Okay,
saying something
Stephen,
that's not a good idea are two different things. You realize that, right?
If you have
Stephen,
is
did
a
you
one
good
make your
idea.
side,
original comment?
yeah, if you have
It's
one
about
Wait,
side
spin.
if you have one side,
before
if you have
Stephen makes
one
his
side that
comment,
is
let me
in,
just say this. Stephen, you cut me off, whether you know it or not. I know you
sorry,
can't think. Oh,
no,
oh,
I
so okay,
can't. I can think. I'm
okay,
sorry if I cut you
okay,
off, and I'll
all right.
continue to cut you off. You could be in a little butt.
But I'm going to cut you off now. Surprise.
Good.
Good
I
job.
mean,
All right,
they
Nas.
want
I mean,
what they
Jaquan.
what they want to do is they want us to give them everything. Like the our side doesn't get anything. We don't get more
What
security on
side
the
is that?
border. We
Are
don't.
you an
We
What
want more
American?
side is
security.
that?
We want more security for the border. We want things we want. If we give them everything they want, then they say, well, then you're not working with us. You're not doing anything. But it is a
So if you
compromise.
shut down
And
the
things need to
government,
be
do you have border
compromised.
security? Do you shut down the
Well,
government? Do you get border security?
we don't have
Uh-oh.
borders. We don't have border security
Uh-oh.
now. We don't
Oh,
have
so it
border
doesn't matter,
security
huh?
now.
Okay, so let's shut down the government and see what
Okay,
else
okay,
We
happens.
don't.
excuse me.
No,
Excuse me.
we don't have border security
Excuse me.
now.
Jaquan. Okay, Jaquan.
Yeah, so Mitch McConnell came out today and basically said the Border Patrol agents and ICE agents would have their pay affected by this if there's not some reasonable way to step in and figure out something. And also, if
Yeah.
somebody does something ridiculous and then say, like, if I go up and punch Aguna in the face, and I say, Aguna, well, let's compromise. You don't need to punch me in the face. I've already punched you. That was in the past. Let's move on. I initiated the act. That's not a compromise. That was me violating that. I'm in the wrong. So a group who tells you that they want to shut down the government in order to save money, what they're actually doing is going to cost you more money. In a period where we're fighting inflation, if you shut down the government and hurt that global dollar that Aguna was just talking about, you know what other nations do? They say, we're going to flush the dollars out of our central banks. We're going to buy some rubles. We're going to buy some yuan. We're going to buy other currencies and put that in our central bank in order to cover things because your country is not reliable. You seem to have a problem governing and handling your day-to-day business. And lastly, a government and a family are not the same thing. You never make that comparison. A government and a nation live on in perpetuity.
No, that's right.
A government and a nation live on in perpetuity. So the thinking is the United States, we're in 2023. The United States will still exist 100 years from now. A family, on the other hand, can't make that long-term projection because guess what? As humans, we all have to die. The other part, a government has a printing press. Now, as a family, you can print up your own currency. It's not going to go well for you, but you can try that and see what happens to you afterwards. And then the other part, lastly, like when you try to compare a family to a government, your shotgun that you keep under the bed in case a robber breaks in, you don't spend much money maintaining that. But a standing army, especially the mightiest army in the world, it's pretty expensive to keep that in play just in case you need it. So, yeah, please don't make that comparison again. It makes you sound juvenile and uneducated.
I'll make it again.
I'll make it every time. I'll make it every weekend.
You'll look foolish again. You'll look foolish again.
And we will consider the source when it comes to you and Nas, Aguna. We'll consider the source.
You haven't made a point yet on the show, Steven. I'm still waiting, man. Come on.
Right.
I thought you were better than
source.
Hey, Google. Just Google it.
Don't deflect. Educate yourself.
All you have to do is Google. I'm educated. I feel bad for you. All you do is travel the world and eat. All you do is travel the world and eat cheeseburgers.
Means you don't
Well,
know.
I'm working.
So, Stacey,
while I'm working, you just travel the world and eat cheeseburgers.
Let's Google the next topic. Let's just Google it.
No, I mean, do your own research. How about that?
Steven, stop. Steven, please stop. Nas, what did you say?
Do your own research. Is it so hard?
Yeah, I didn't know which topic you wanted to move to next, so I was just trying to move things along. Todd appears to be the most well-behaved panelist on the show. He deserves some credit for not, reacting to other people who are so easily triggered.
That's just because of heroin. That's just because of heroin. That's why he's so laid back.
Heroin?
Steven, man, what in the world is wrong with you, man?
Oh no! Earlier tonight, he told me that I was drinking, so I'm gonna accuse him of doing heroin.
You feel better?
What is this, the 5th grade?
Do you feel better?
I feel much better.
Are you happy?
So if anybody wants to say something about me, it's coming right back at you.
Eddie Izeri was shot by police, and yesterday a judge in Philadelphia dismissed all charges, including murder, against the Philadelphia police officer who fatally shot him during a traffic stop last month. Todd, you talked to me about that. Do you want to?
Yeah, I was saying how this is typical, how a police officer shoots somebody, and then if anybody remembers, there was a report written up because the police have to write a report when a person is shot, and the report that this officer wrote up didn't match the actual video. For example, he said he approached the car and the suspect jumped out with a knife and attacked the officer, which made the officer have to shoot him. But then after reviewing the video, that didn't happen. And so this is why he was placed under suspension. And the woman, police chief, I forgot her name, she just retired. She said he was going to be fired for that. And so anyway, for this judge to throw out all the charges, I don't know why this judge did that. And they would have to explain exactly why, because even if things didn't add up, why then did he lie and say the suspect attacked him? So for him to lie, there was some kind of cover up. So all the charges shouldn't have been thrown out. And what I'm hearing is they throw out those charges, then you have to bring new charges, lesser charges, not first-degree murder, which they were trying to go for, maybe like a third degree or manslaughter or something like that. First degree is premeditated, and the judge is thinking there was no premeditation based on what she saw.
Hello?
Though I don't
All right,
think.
But you didn't make the point about you were telling me about police issuing orders, and also about them doing some sort of you said they had a something where they had a raid and tried to steal stuff, and they had
that was a different part of it. I said I didn't even get to that part. I was saying what the judge did, and so that upset citizens, and so they were protesting this decision to throw out all the charges. And what happened during this protest? What happened during this? No, hey, Republican, let me finish what I'm saying. I know, Radical. I know you did. So he's trying to become friends with Keith and Stephen again.
Yeah.
So what happened was people took advantage of that protest, which is what always happens. And so these people used that protest to steal, which is what always, again, happens, which is what I said about the insurrection. Now, of course, Keith and Stephen will go blank when I repeat what we've talked about.
They didn't steal anything.
Just a minute. Let me explain it to you.
Who wants that?
Anyway, oh gosh, Stacy,
come on, please.
Go ahead, Todd.
Get to this. We're almost out.
Todd, go ahead, please.
Okay, all right, go ahead. That's all right.
Damn, lobster man, you got to cut in every 5 minutes.
I know, but he's putting me into early nap time. I don't need that.
All right. I think, does anyone I wanted to talk about this, but Todd, I don't know what Todd's doing. He's off in space. He's not talking about the situation. He's not talking about
giving you step by step. I got this nut job, and then Aguna egged him on. I can't win, so I quit.
No. I think Todd did a good job laying out the basics of this so people can understand what's going on. Because all they see is the story at the iPhone store, which changes the narrative and gets people away from the original problem that happened. This is a really effective form of propaganda. When something bad happens, you can shift the blame over to young teens doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And then that way the discussion becomes muddied into that. The original story was this officer said this man jumped out of a car and tried to stab him with a knife. Meanwhile, he walked up to the car and shot through the window. Now, there was a camera on the street that this happened on, where the footage was kind of compiled. I don't know how the officer was going to try to talk his way out of just the forensics on this, because it's insane. But the reality of it is, this is government overreach. I wish conservatives would step up in situations like this. A police officer is not judge, jury, and executioner on the street. That should not happen, especially when there's no threat involved. A man in his car with the windows up being killed. That is a terrible story. And then when people, clutch their pearls and whine about the damage done to the Apple store, I just say, wait a minute. In 2008, when the Phillies won the World Series for the first time in a long time, there was 5 times as much damage in the city of Philadelphia done by fans. When the Eagles won their first championship in 50 years, there was 10 times more damage in the city of Philadelphia done by their fans.
There's a lot of pretzels and cheesesteaks. A lot of pretzels and cheesesteaks.
I got the information. You can all look it up and easily read
it. We know it's true. No, we know it's true.
Okay, well, let me finish like that. Well, let me finish. I'm not.
Philly always looks like that. There was no damage,
sir.
That's what the way Philly looks.
I'm not singling out the city of Philadelphia for this. All I'm trying to show is there's some damage that we just consider, well, boys will beat boys. Oh, you won a championship. That's okay. But then after somebody is violently killed by an agent of the state, that violence is unacceptable. And do you see the dichotomy here? Do you see where the problem is out in there? Thanks, John. Good job.
Is there a video? Is there a video of this that we can see?
I don't think you can actually see the shooting. Yeah, I don't think you actually see the shooting, but there is video.
Could you send it to me and Keith, Stacy?
I thought you told us Google worked earlier. Google it.
No, if Stacy has it, she'll send it to us.
So then
I named 2 tribes. How many tribes do I have to name?
Excuse me.
Let me tell you about the danger of not wearing sunscreen. When you don't wear sorry.
If you wear sunscreen, you're hurting your skin.
Steven, stop, please. I'm going to stay on track.
I have no comment.
Chemicals are not good for you.
Sorry, Stacey.
Keith and Steven. I remember Steven saying maybe last year, you're supposed to follow the direction of a police officer. If a police officer stops you, you're supposed to follow direction. You said if someone has a gun on you, you're supposed to follow the direction, as the gentleman did not. You said he did not do in Georgia when he was killed by those men who were hoarding, just going around trying to stop him because they thought he was going into some empty houses being built.
No, that's different. That's a different situation, Stacy. That man attacked a man that was holding a gun. You don't attack a man that's carrying a gun because you're going to get your ass killed. And that's what happened to him. He ran towards the man and grabbed his shotgun, and the shotgun went off. That's a fact. With my hand up to my God that I trust with my soul. It's a fact. When somebody has a gun, you put your little hands up. If it's a cop or if it's a criminal, put your hands up when somebody has a gun, because they have more than you have. Because they have more than you have.
You have the right to defend yourself.
Okay, Keith.
You're not in that situation.
It was unlawful.
Yes.
It was unlawful. It was unlawful.
I can't pull a gun on you.
You got to stop.
I can't pull a gun on you and you just comply. I'm robbing you. That's called a robbery.
Keith. Okay, I'm about to end this because you guys aren't even listening to me like I don't even exist. So
I'm here.
On behalf of Aguna, the Nigerian model Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative.
Are you ending the
what is your comment about this? What is your comment about this shooting?
Man, I tell you, it's hard to get a word in. But I would just say that this situation, you're talking about which one? I mean, we went through so much. Which one, Stacy?
Never mind. Never
Go
mind.
ahead and retire, Keith. Go ahead, enjoy your
Oh my
retirement.
gosh.
We jumped around. I mean, how many
But let's
times
go.
have we jumped
Let's
from
go about
subject to
this,
subject?
Keith. Let's go here.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, the judge found unfortunately, a judge in New York found Donald Trump and his adult sons guilty and liable for lying about the amount of money their properties and their businesses were worth, and they're going to dissolve the businesses. What does that go towards the character of a future president of the United States?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, that's unconstitutional. You can't dissolve the business of another man's business. How are you going to do that? That's ridiculous. That's overreach.
Why?
That's overreach. The man
Why
was
are they
a
doing
former
it?
president. That's
Why are they
overreach.
doing it?
It's
Why are they
overreach.
doing it?
Because they're lying.
Why
They're
are they
making up-
doing it?
They're doing
Who's
it
lying?
because he is running for president of the United
That's not
States.
true.
They
They're
don't
doing it
want
because he broke
Okay.
the
That's
law.
why they're
Stephen,
doing it.
He broke the law.
Stephen, give him a
if he
go
wasn't,
home, Stephen.
Stephen, if they weren't guilty, why would the judge rule like that?
The judge is the judge. Judge does what he wants to do. Let's just see how it ends up. Because you know what? This has been going on for 6 years as everybody's been trying to take down Trump. Let's see if it happens. Let's see if this actually takes him down. We can speculate. We can talk about this, that, the other. We don't know. We don't know what this judge is or what anything behind the scenes are. So let's just wait and see. Why don't we do that? Because everybody has their day in court. That's what they get a right to in this country. Oh, that's what they used
Okay.
to. There's a lot of people that
All
don't
right.
get the day in court.
Just
So
say
this
you
country's
don't know about the
Okay.
case.
Thank
this
you.
country's
Aguna?
different now.
Well, at the end of the day, yeah, this has been coming for a while. Trump has always done this. So if you go back to early '80s, he's been in development for a while. He was noted for overvaluing properties in order to leverage the equity and things like that. So this is just chickens coming back to roost. Now the thing is, this is compiled with all these other things going on. And so when we get into situations like this, and we're saying all of a sudden this multi-million-dollar guy who's running for president is somehow a victim. You know, when a judge rules like this, when there are rulings like this, you understand that Trump has million-dollar lawyers working for him. All right. So if there is an opportunity for him to get out of this situation or to appeal or whatever, he's going to take it. This is not like this judge is just ruling it and it hadn't been adjudicated. This is the ruling that's coming down after his legal team has fought on his behalf. And this is just one of the many cases that are brought against this guy. Now you're going to compile everything and say all of a sudden, woe is he's a victim, but you don't want to hold him accountable for even getting in that situation to begin with. That is ridiculous. Enough is enough. We need to move on from this guy. It's just too much. This is just too much.
Nas?
Yeah. I mean, I think Aguna explained that well. Like, basically, this is a practice that he discovered a long time ago. He's always done it. He's always been able to benefit from it because he would essentially put the creditors and the banks, at odds against each other to where to go after him would actually hurt themselves. So that's kind of how he skated on it. But to still be doing this so many years later, like, it's so brazen and so stupid and just kind of leaves him open to, just be destroyed financially ultimately. So the greed is probably the biggest point of all of this. Just the greed, the sheer audacity of it. A property that some people would value. Like, let's say Keith tomorrow said, okay, they told me my house is worth $400,000. Well, forget that. I think my house is worth $40 million. Now, Keith would never do that because he knows the consequences would weigh in on him. That would be heavy. And it's a ridiculous try. So I have no idea why nobody told this man to stop.
And then we're not even talking about the old former U.S. Postal Building in D.C. where he got leased back to his company at like $1 or something because he appointed the Department of Interior head that was over the agency that was over the building, right? So there are all these little nuances that Trump as a developer has always used to loopholes and to leverage money and to do those things. Again, now you're high profile. So yeah, you're right. Now that you're president of the United States, you should try to recuse yourself from these businesses. That's why you try to separate yourself because the only thing it does is give you more exposure, right? So the fact that he's gotten exposed and he's getting called to the carpet on it, don't blame the law. Blame the idiot that broke the law. Hold him accountable. That's all we always talk as Americans, holding ourselves accountable. When you break the law, you should be held accountable. Period.
Thank you, Cousin Todd.
Okay. For example, I'm looking at Mar-a-Lago. He said Mar-a-Lago is worth $600 million. And it's really worth $27 million. $600 million?
Man.
It's outrageous. Judge for 40 Wall Street worth $200 million. And Trump valued it at $500 million. So these kinds of crazy tricks, after a while, people are like, what? So this is why he's in trouble, and he's got to pay this money. All these businesses are going to be dissolved, and it should happen. If you, Stephen, did that, they would dissolve your business, or Keith, or anybody else.
On a hat,
so why
like
should
you have on a hat?
So why should Trump
or they
get
would
away
die
with it?
trying.
You can't get away with it. And this is what
Okay.
happens to regular people like you. For some reason, Trump
Aguna and I are
turns
not
into
regular
this-
people. We can beat the system.
For some
Tell them,
reason,
Aguna.
Trump turns into this
I'll just go back to Nigeria.
hero for
Right.
them.
Yeah,
I just go back to I go to Czechoslovakia.
It's like the guy who sits in front of the gas station with the sign that says, "Hey man, I just need a couple dollars of gas. My family's up the street. We ran out of gas." If you give him $5-10 one day, and then you see him the next day and you say, "Hey man, I just ran out," you're like, "Dude, you can't run the same con on me. You already ran that con." So I have no idea why he continued to do this. Like this is crazy.
Okay, let's start our roundtable. We're out of time. I do want to cover two things on the roundtable. I want to cover one. We're going to start with Keith, then Stephen, then Nas, Aguna, and Todd. We're going to talk about Senator Menendez and the calls for him to step down because of the charges against him and his wife. And then I want you to talk about the redistricting of the
Alabama.
Supreme Court on Tuesday handed a defeat to Alabama Republicans for the second time in 3 months, rejecting their latest attempt to use a congressional map that includes only one majority Black district. Start with Keith, then Stephen, then Nas, Aguna, and Cousin Todd.
Well, I have not much to say about him other than the fact that he's been accused before and got away with it, and now he got those gold bars from somewhere, all that money. So I don't know. I didn't follow.
Okay, and
that
the
whole
Supreme
thing.
Court. And the Supreme Court.
What about the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court yesterday handed a defeat. The Supreme Court yesterday handed a defeat to Alabama Republicans, the state of Alabama, the Republicans, for the second time in 3 months. And this is according to NBCnews.com. I'm sorry, I'm unable to share my screen. I'm having some sort of technical difficulties. They were rejecting their latest attempt to use a congressional map. The Supreme Court was rejecting Alabama Republicans' attempt to use a congressional map that included only one majority Black district.
Well, that's a complicated case. I'll let the experts go. Aguna and Nas, I'll let them. They're the experts.
Clearly, you have to have an opinion about it, Keith.
I don't.
Well, it's Stephen, you're up. Stephen.
Cool.
First, about Senator Menendez and whether or not he should step down. Second, about the Supreme Court knocking down the request of Republicans in Alabama to only have one district majority Black in that state recognized.
Step down, heck no. I give this man points for doing everything that you could do and possibly get away with it. I know don't step down. Plus, he's got enough sense. He doesn't want American dollars because of the Democrat Party and because things have happened throughout the years, they don't want American dollars. You know what he wanted? Gold. They gave him gold because that's worth something. American dollars aren't worth anything right now. And then a year this will be worth even less, and a year even less, and even less, and even less. And the more people that come through the border, this is what's going to happen. The American dollars.
Don't interrupt them. Let them finish.
So you know what? Anybody that's a politician, anybody that's doing anything like that, why should we get upset anymore? It doesn't matter. Pelosi's and all of them, and McConnell, all of them, Democrat, Republican, and they're all making so much money. Let's just celebrate. Let's celebrate how much money they can make and how bad they can screw us and how we can fight over these people like we like this guy or this guy, depending on the party they're from. Because in the end, we all get screwed. We all can't run back to Nigeria like some people on this show. So, some of us have to stay here. Some people don't have a lifeboat. My man has a lifeboat, and I appreciate that for him. Man, he's blessed. That's real blessed.
Use your wizard hat and just go to your other dimension.
Okay, who we going to next?
Alabama Supreme Court, Stephen. Alabama Supreme Court redistricting knocked down by the Supreme Court for Alabama.
I mean, if they're following the laws of the land and it's the way it is, there's not much we can do about it. Either way it goes, if it goes the way we want it to go, the way we don't want it to go. Right? I mean, if they're not following laws, then it's a bad thing because our country right now, we have people in charge right now that are not following our laws of our country and our Constitution that's making this place so much worse for us. If you're not following the laws, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, then you're hurting the people. Our people are getting hurt and the people there are getting hurt. So what you have to do is follow the laws that have been laid out. And I don't know if I don't want anybody to get screwed over. I want everybody to have the equal right of an equal vote, and they make it equally. I don't want, if it's something that's going wrong that helps the Republicans or the Democrats, I want it to be straightened out so it's good and it's equal. It's 50-50. That's what I want. That's what everybody should want. But people don't want that. They want their team to get 70.
Yeah. So okay, so you're in favor. Yes. So the first story with Melendez, he's going to jail. You see, the problem with him getting off the first time, or whatever technicality got him off the first time, that means, brother, that's good luck for you. But if you continue to do those things, here's the thing about corruption cases. It's always about follow the money. And once you start following the money, you never know who's going to turn up, who's also indicated. Now, when you talked about gold bars, which they found on him, that wasn't because the dollar's devalued. You want gold bars because you don't want to leave a trace of how you're doing whatever corruption you're doing. So the Dems are going to throw Melendez over immediately because he's not somebody, he's so dirty right now to the point of there's no standing with him. So, yeah, there's going to be an investigation. Eventually, he's going to resign, and eventually that dude is going to jail.
All right. And Alabama.
Yeah, so the Alabama story, this was so brazen. So a lower court in Alabama looked at the map that they drew up and said, look, this map is illegal. You're actually caging a demographic of voters to water down their vote by packing them all in one district. For those who never really studied this, there's a book called Rat F Word that's about packing and fracking. And what you do when you pack is you basically take a district where you know the demographic of that district and push it all into one. So therefore you dilute their voting power in that state. This is why we had the Voting Rights Act for certain southern states for what they had done to black folks in Jim Crow America. So are we still in Jim Crow America where Alabama would try something so brazen that is struck down in the lower courts and the Supreme Court had to weigh in and say, hey, man, you can't do that. That's illegal. What's wrong with you guys? So, yeah. Instead of trying to earn the black citizen vote in Alabama, these people decided they were just going to water down and make the people's vote not mean as much. So this is your Republican Party, conservatives. You got to step up on situations like this. You tell me you're about law and order. Show me.
Okay, Aguna.
Yeah, Menendez, see, the interesting thing, because we already talked at length about him. Yeah, he's going down. But the Democrats are going to make an example out of him. They're going to be like, okay, see, this is how you hold politicians accountable. And we're going to throw him under the bus, basically, and make him kind of the poster child for what parties should do when they have candidates that are corrupt. Okay, over to you, Republicans. What are you doing? You got one that's running for president, but you're still behind him. So there's going to be some political messaging behind what's going on going forward. And Republicans aren't careful, of course. Republicans are dying on this ship. They're going to say Democrats this, Democrats that. You heard it on this show, always scapegoating. But this is another opportunity for holding people accountable. And that's going to be on display when they have this investigation. As for Alabama and the gerrymandering and the redistricting, again, because of the situation in Washington where, you have one party, the Republican Party, who the days are numbered. So they're trying everything they can to not have to cater to a broader demographic of folks. Now, how do you do that? You do exactly what Nas was saying. You shrink. You try to quarantine your constituency versus actually being held accountable and personally and getting their vote. Again, you want to cater to the you want to cater to the minority when it comes to the broader country. So you got to have more representation in the Congress. And even if you look at the interim election, a lot of the seats gained in the House were because of practices just like this, where you're actually redistricting and gaining representation because you're diluting the vote in especially southern states. So again, this is a tactic they're going to continue. They're going to try to be a little bit more aggressive ahead of the 2024 election. So this is something, and I'm surprised the Supreme Court, I mean, it was probably so blatant that they had no choice, but they struck it down. So this conservative court struck it down. There had to be some there in order for them to do it. The same thing happened in North Carolina. There are a couple other southern. Why is it just southern states where this is happening? I wonder what's different about the South as compared to these other parts of the country that these things are happening. So, well, it just gives you pause that 40 years supposedly civil rights, there's no racism, as Tim Scott would say, there's no racism, doesn't exist anymore, right? And then you see stuff like this.
Thank you, Cousin Todd.
Speaking of Tim Scott, is Tim Scott married?
His girlfriend goes to another school, Cousin Todd.
Did she want to marry him?
Oh,
ask Lindsey Graham.
What's your point?
No,
what does it matter? What's your point?
It's funny you should say, what does it matter? Can a man be elected president without a wife?
Yes, it's happened many times.
Where?
Yep.
Can you go on? You're hijacking my show. I want you to move on.
Throughout the American history, a lot of presidents did not have a wife.
Supreme Court, talk about Menendez in New Jersey. Don't hijack, honey. Move on.
You the one that she brought him up, and I just wondered, and I said, "Is he married?" And
I brought him up. Aguna brought him up. I wasn't speaking.
Yes.
Move on. Menendez. Do Menendez.
Okay,
Do Menendez.
Menendez.
Do Menendez.
Do Menendez. Do him.
Menendez. I would not call for Menendez to step down. And
of course you wouldn't. Controversial. You're just looking for something to be on the opposite side, just like Stephen.
Ma'am.
I'm not looking to be on the opposite side of anything. I'm just with the truth.
Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
Okay, if you could shut up and keep your hosts quiet, I could get a
Stephen, I Googled it. James Buckman was the only president that didn't have a wife. So you said there were plenty of them. There's only been one.
Barack Obama didn't have a wife.
Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
So,
yeah. See, ignorance is just in full fling on the show tonight, I see.
Barack Obama didn't have a wife. Look, research that. Google that.
No. Okay, Wizard of Ignorance. Wizard of Ignorance.
Hey, Keith, you know what I'm talking about.
This is your fault, Aguna. Go ahead, Cousin Todd. I don't know. Are you in space? Are you in space, Cousin Todd? Finish.
I can't believe that. Skip me. You're crazy. Do not make me the problem. Make these freaks and geeks your problem.
Hey, when you get upset, Todd, your voice always goes up.
Kills me.
You want to make a comment about Alabama?
When you in space, what? I'm trying to wait till they can inhale so that I can get a sentence out. No, I don't want to talk about anything. I want to get off of this show. This is like the Gong Show. This is the worst show I've ever been on.
Ooh.
Oh my!
You're like Gene. You're like Gene, the dancing machine. Gene, the dancing machine.
Shiny-eyed monkey. This one is a park ape. That one is a shiny-eyed monkey. That one is a porch monkey. They're just a bunch of crazy monkeys.
We're all a bunch of crazy monkeys. That's why we get along so well.
All right, so first responders in our communities, you make our lives livable. What were you gonna say, Nas?
No, I was just gonna say.
I need you, Nas.
No, I was gonna say it's really important to moisturize, and it's really important to protect yourself from the sun. So,
Stephen, man, can't be out there.
In our communities, you make our lives livable. Thank you, thank you, thank you to our women and
men.
Don't
be looking for churches to burn, Stephen.
For all that you do and sacrificing your lives, so that we are free to choose whatever we want to say on the show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of, guess who? Aguna.
The crazy
Go Birds.
loudmouth Aguna.
Quiet over there, Todd. I know you're cold.
The Nigerian moderate Republican, Stephen.
Another crazy mouth almighty. I can't with these people.
Take care of your skin, buddy.
Independent thinker.
Put some
What's wrong with my skin?
The
Put some
constitutional
calamine lotion on.
conservative.
What's wrong with my skin?
And my cousin Todd. I don't know where.
Why are you so
up.
racist talking about my skin?
You just need some calamine lotion.
We're not going to talk about
I'm
anyone's
worried
race.
about you. You don't have cancer.
Excuse me.
What do you mean calamine lotion? That's for poison ivy.
I thought that's what you had.
Johnson Cherquavius the third.
I'm Stacey Johnson. Let's keep this conversation going on. Where? X.
Let's go watch the debate.
Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Stephanie Stallworth, The Flow Television Network. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And we will see you next week. Hopefully next week, Todd will be in better shape because this week he was horrible.
Are you crazy?
Out of control, Todd.
This is gaslighting, Todd. This is gaslighting.
That's all it is. And this is crazy. This was the worst show. Stephen would not shut up. Aguna would not shut up. Keith would not stop laughing.
I was like, I'm moving on.
Get out of here, Aguna. Something's wrong with you.
Aguna does talk. Aguna will talk for like 35 minutes if somebody doesn't tell him to stop. Stacey's like, God darn, stop talking, Aguna.
Oh,
it's like he makes up. He just keeps saying word salad out of his mouth for like 20 minutes. I agree with you.
You guys enjoy the debates. Enjoy the Republican.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not watching the debates, man.
Watch the debates they're on.
Yeah,
you don't want to watch it because Trump's not there.
I'm not watching the debates. I'm not interested in it.
Why? Trump is not there. So
no, are you going to watch it, Todd? Are you going to watch it?
I'm going to watch Donald Trump because Trump is going to be speaking to non-union workers while our president spoke to union workers because Republicans don't believe in unions. Do you believe in unions?
I'm not going to watch either one of them, Todd.
How does he keep getting so much bad advice? Like, why would they have him go speak to the non-union people? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know. He doesn't.
Why would they do that?
He was probably listening to Keith and Steven.
No, I'm not invested in Trump as you are in Joe Biden. I'm not as invested in politicians as you are, man. I don't think these politicians are good people to start with.
What about Boebert? I wanted to talk about Boebert.
We have no investment in anything.
Who? Me?
You say you just complain about everything and don't stand for anything.
I said that. I said I don't stand for anything.
Well, you just complain. You complain about the Democrats, but then you say they're not beholden to the Republicans, and then you say their side. Not you're on the side of this, and I don't even know what side you're talking about. I don't think you do either.
No, all I'm saying is,
what side are you on?
I'm not on the side of the Republicans or the Democrats. I'm on the side of
what side are you on then?
He's
the
on
side of the truth that's trying to make trying to make this country a better place for all of us. That's the side I'm on. The
so
side
why
of
are you
the
saying
truth.
You're not voting and you're not going to participate and you're not going to watch the debates?
I never said I wasn't going to vote or participate. I said I'm not going to watch the debates.
So you're not going to inform yourself?
No, because I already know where these people stand. There's nothing I'm going to learn tonight. If I can't learn nothing, why am I going to the class? I already know the subject upside down and backwards. I already know everything about these people that are running. Why should I watch a debate? What are they going to tell me that they haven't told me in the first debate? Nothing. I got more things to do with my time. I got better things to do with my time than to watch a debate with a bunch of people who have no chance of winning the presidency unless they kill Donald Trump.
Okay, so moving this to Aguna because he's a reasonable person. Todd's a reasonable person, and Keith. So, if something happens to Trump legally where he can't run, or he's so financially destroyed that he ends up having to sit out, or he just decides, I'll just do a media empire thing. I don't want to run anymore. I can just have my supporters buy stuff from me and do a radio show. And you have to go with who the Republicans have on stage. You want to hear how they interact with each other. What happens when Vivek is pressed tonight, because he's going to be pressed hard because he's polling so high amongst higher than those other guys, or Tim Scott? What happens when Tim Scott gets asked about his girlfriend tonight? Does he freeze, or does he compose himself and give an astute answer about this none of your business? What happens? Those are the questions. Now you're saying, well, it doesn't matter. Trump ain't there. Okay, but as an adult, you kind of have to prepare for different outcomes, sir.
I have things to do tonight where I can hear tomorrow. It's not indicative.
Sir, you can clip your toenails any night. Like,
no, I don't have to.
What are you
I don't have to hear it tonight. I don't have to hear it. Why is it so imperative? Why is it so imperative that I hear it tonight? It doesn't make any sense.
It's not. You were so passionate earlier about what you care about, who you think is destroying the country. I would think you would say, okay, I'm in the opposition party. I need to have my ducks in a row.
I don't know if we have any politicians that can save this country from where it's headed right now. I don't know if we have any.
Has a politician ever saved any country? What is that?
No, I'm not saying they can. No, I'm not saying no.
So what are you talking about? You tell me everything is so dark and so dire that the dollar's going to crash and the country is finished. And then when I say, okay, well, how are you going to defend yourself against this? And you say, well, they're liars anyway. I'm not going to, like.
No, basically, I'm saying if things continue the way they are, we have a couple good years left. We have a couple of good years.
So if that's the case, if the country will have a few years left, you should be betting against the U.S. dollar. You should be betting against every major corporation in the country. You should be making a killing because you see all this falling in 2 years. Or you're just saying that because you're emotional, and that's not realistic. And America is the strongest militarily advanced country in the world. And
I'm not saying the United States is not going to have any. The United States is not going to have any sovereignty. The United States is not going to be in control of itself. It's going to be one world order. In one world. The United States is not going to have any sovereignty. It's not going to be. Why would it be not any now?
Hold on. Because see, these conspiracy theories have to be walked down. So you tell me there's a one world. Whoa. You just told me one world government. We just saw during a global pandemic that the supply chains crashed all across the globe, and that the cooperation that will require a one world government actually isn't possible. So maybe that conspiracy theory is something you need to let go.
What you just said has nothing to do with what I was saying. What you just said, your example has nothing to do with what I said. Yeah, one world rule. One world. What? It's going to be a rule of one group to rule the whole world, and the people that are in these countries, it's not going to matter.
Let me talk to Aguna.
Our country doesn't matter right now. When we have open borders,
America always matters. Be quiet.
When they just America doesn't matter. When they just let 500,000 Venezuelans come into our country, we have no country.
ICE agents are stealing checks, basically, is what you're saying. So, Aguna, let me go back. Let me go back.
We have no country.
Let me go back to the pandemic, this one world government thing, where
the pandemic was fake.
Hey. The supply chains were so collapsed that they had to send ships back that were empty, losing millions and millions and millions of dollars by every shipment. Now, you telling me they're going to have a one world government when they can't even do shipping lines? We gotta let go of these conspiracies. I'm talking to Aguna.
That's not an equivalent. What you're saying is not an equivalent. It's not an equivalent.
I'm talking to an adult. I'm not talking to you.
This is why it's important. What you're saying is not right.
I'm talking to an adult. I'm not talking to you.
What you're saying is not true.
You have 1 minute to answer this, and then we're off.
All right. What's up? Oh, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's a global economy, but yet there are still things that are disjointed. This whole thing about one world government and all this other stuff, yeah, it's a global economy. You can make money overseas. That doesn't mean that we're ruled by other countries and all this other stuff. If anything, corporations are trying to create these monopolies, these global monopolies. I mean, that's not, I mean, again, if you think about it, you're saying that the dollar is going to collapse, yet you want government shutdowns and things like that. They're counterintuitive to each other or whatever. So, I mean,
We
I don't
just
know
want
why.
less spending. We don't want government shutdown. We want less spending. We want them to compromise
Right.
with
you
us.
want, so
We
you
want them
more
to
inflation.
secure the border. We want them to secure the border. We're being
How are you gonna do
invaded.
that
Why
with
are
the
you
government shutdown?
defending
Arjuna,
them?
your
So why are you
children,
defending
the
our
government to
children
do
don't
that?
stand a chance. We're being invaded. This is an invasion.